Welcome to Born for the Trades, a home service podcast. And I'm your host, Mandeep Bala. And today I'm not sitting virtually next to Shreya, sitting right here next.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are here live at Profit Rocket 23, and we have amazing guest today. His name is Sebastian from Rilla and running amazing software, speech analytics software.
Join us as we dive deep into the world of home service entrepreneurship, interacting with industry leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs about their experiences, challenges, and victories. Through their inspiring stories, we hope to equip our listeners with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed in the competitive home service industry. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, tune in to Born for the Trades podcast for invaluable insight and real-world inspiration.
You want to share what is Rilla?
Yeah,
because a lot of people, I think you are starting this. You have already started this, like to change the game for home service industry. So what is Rilla, Sebastian?
Yeah.
First of all, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. That was a great intro, by the way. We're keeping it. So Rilla, very succinctly, we're the leading speech analytics software for the home improvement industry. And what that means is when you have technicians or comfort advisors go out and talk to homeowners in the home, they're going to be recording their conversations from their phones or tablets with our mobile app. And then we're going to be using AI to automatically transcribe, analyze, and give them feedback to help them improve their sales. That's what speech analytics means. And that's what we do.
I love that simple explanation because I think people, when they think like AI and speech analytics, they go off on a tangent and all this technical jargon, and it's really assistance and education for technicians to communicate better in the field. Would you say?
It's basically that. I'm not gonna, when people talk about AI, if you have my co-founder sitting here, he just like talking about like matrix algebra. It's like, and we're gonna put the 1 below the 0, and it's gonna be creating magic, and then people are like, oh damn, dude, these nerds are gonna kill us all, man.
That's how technicians talk in the home.
Yeah.
We need communications training, emotional intelligence, sales training for technicians, but they just talk about parts the whole time. They don't build a relationship. They talk about themselves, and they're overly analytical, no connection, and the client has no idea.
The client has no idea. And Sebastian, what do you think? Like how it's actually going to work? Like, is it going to record everything?
Yeah.
Just like putting in a like very layman way, so, how it's gonna work.
So you're a technician, you're a comfort advisor, you drive up to the home, and then you start recording a conversation just like this. Boom, put it in your pocket, you put it in the table wherever you want to keep it, and then it's just going to be recording right from there the whole time. And then it's not a recording tool, because if it was a recording tool, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys about a stupid recording tool. It's an AI tool that's going to take the recordings, it's going to transcribe them into text using speech recognition. And after we have the entire transcription, we're going to be using natural language processing, AI, to turn that transcription into numbers about how you talk. How you talk is how fast you talk. How you talk is how much do you talk versus the customer, your talk ratio, your patience, your interactivity, your pitch, all of the things about how you talk and what you say specifically. You could be talking about pricing. You could be talking about parts. You could be talking about building rapport with a customer. It's going to measure everything about what you say and how you say it. And it's going to start giving you actual feedback on how you can actually improve your conversational pattern so you can win more business.
Wow.
That's essentially what it's doing.
That's going to be a game changer. By the way, this is a different topic. How old are you?
I'm 27 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
You're the CEO, founder of this company. I think
I gotta catch up.
Hey, Mom. How you doing?
Yeah, gotta catch up. Yeah. Let's dive into your story. We wanna know more about you. Like when did you started? Where did you go to school? Like why AI? Why founded this software? Like your journey, if you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am from the Dominican Republic. I know it's like, what? If you guys are seeing this on video, I'm very white. And yeah, I got a little bit of, like golden brown, kind of like Caribbean, but it's and you hear my voice, you're like, Dominican, what? It's like, that does not sound like Big Papi, man. That does not. And Dominicans don't believe me when I tell them that. They're like, a gringo, like, stop lying to me, man. Like, show me your ID. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. They're like, why is your name that? They think your parents were hippies or something. But No, so yeah, so I'm Dominican, born and raised. I came to America for college when I was I finished my high school in America. My parents, like, they were really sick of me, and they were like, "This kid is so annoying. We're gonna ship him off to finish his high school." They sent me to like a all boy Jesuit Catholic high school, like the one that you look like the, you know, like the Jehovah's Witnesses that put the uniforms on and like the little bow ties.
Yeah.
So it was an all boy Jesuit Catholic high school. They sent me there. I finished my high school there. Went to NYU for college. And the reason I got into technology, you know, tech is not a thing that kids in the DR grew up thinking that you can do as like a job when you grow up there. So my path to finding tech was actually through stand-up comedy, because I've always been a clown. I've always, like, you know, like to make people laugh. And so when I got to NYU, there's always an existential question when you go to NYU for college. It's like, how can I maximize my time today to piss off my parents even more? And so the way I did that was skipping all my classes. I would go and do stand-up comedy in really shitty bars in Lower East Side and Greenwich Village. And I just became, that was what I was going to do. I was just like, I'm going to do stand-up comedy. And I would do 6 shows a day, 7 days a week. I was just doing stand-up comedy, stand-up comedy, stand-up comedy. And I kind of got addicted to this thing that stand-up forces you to do, which is to live your day generating ideas, right? Because you're thinking of jokes all the time, right? And you're writing down some jokes. And stand-up, the unique thing about stand-up is that it's the only art form that you have to do in front of an audience. Like, you can't practice stand-up in your room, right? So like you so you can practice music in your room, and you can paint in your room and write in your room. But stand-up you can't do. Even if you're a psychopath, you can't like talk to yourself in the mirror like, how's it going? And your roommate's like, I'm gonna call the police. Like, no, like, you have to do it in front of a crowd, even when you're practicing. So what it does is it forces you to get in this habit of, like, you have an idea, you launch the idea, you fail a lot, because even if you have a good joke, it starts as a bad joke, which is, it's so wrong in like 1,000 little ways. So you have to do it like 100 times before it pops.
The scariest way, which is public.
Yeah, you're like literally alone in a stage, and you're
everyone's dead silent.
Yes.
Obviously had the intention.
And it's so awkward.
And that's how you practice too, because the way I did stand-up, I would do stand-up like literally on a Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Like, imagine the kind of degenerates that are going to like a stand-up comedy show. Like, people who got laid off the night before. And it's like, it's very it's just like you if you get some movement out of someone, it's like, oh, that person, I thought he was just dead, you know, like I thought we're about to call the ambulance. But so it forces you to get into this habit of like failing a lot and in public. And so and it forces you, and that's the craft, right? Like, you have the idea, you fail it, and based on what you hear from the crowd, you really have to weld that like really good 3-minute set. And when I was a junior in college, I had this internship with this Forbes author who needed somebody who knew a little bit about business, who was funny, because he wanted to interview a bunch of tech founders and make his interviews fun. And so he hired me. He paid me in Chipotle bowls. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Like, this is amazing. What's the best job ever? And we just started interviewing a bunch of tech founders in New York, like the founders of Coursera, Etsy. We interviewed a bunch of like really cool founders.
Oh, wow.
And the way they described their journey in building products and companies was very similar to what I was doing in stand-up. Like, they had an idea, the idea might have been correct, but it was so wrong in 1,000 little ways that they didn't know until they launched, you know? And so I said, oh, wow, that sounds cool. And that was my first, growing up, I didn't know who Steve Jobs was, or like, I didn't know any of this, right? So I was like, that sounds so cool. And so I started getting addicted to that, to the point that when I graduated college, I was really debating. I was like, do I do stand-up comedy? Do I do technology? And the way I decided, I was like, okay, my parents know what stand-up comedy is. You know, so they called it a community clown. It's like, you're going to be a community clown. And they were pretty mad about that. But then when I told them about tech, they're like, what the hell is that? Because I was like, I'm going to do that. That one maximizes the, you know, pissing off mom scale. So I did that. I launched my first tech company out of college. It was my first shitty startup with my co-founder. You know, it was us in an apartment in New York, just hacking away. We had two engineers, one who was very good and one who was very bad. And so I became the de facto salesperson. Yeah. And that was like our first startup. It wasn't anything revolutionary. It was a good product that companies usually made like 6 figures in 3 months of annual recurring revenue. So we were doing well. But I had a like a little empty place in my heart with that startup because I didn't feel like we were doing something like completely groundbreaking and original. And that's the feeling that I love from doing stand-up, because in stand-up you're really
you wanted something like revolutionary product that have like more impact.
It wasn't even about the impact. It was just about the fact that it was like unique. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing stand-up, you can't, it's very difficult to copy anybody because people call you a hack immediately. You can't copy jokes. You have to.
Dave Cook?
What?
Dave Cook?
Who's that?
The comedian.
Dan Cook?
Dan Cook.
Yeah.
Dan.
So like so there was like in stand-up you can't really do it, so it forces you to be insanely original and talk about yourself and talk about things that you find interesting. And so with that product, I didn't feel like we were actually pushing the boundary and like doing something truly unique, like 0 to 1. And I just kept searching for that idea while I was doing that company. And when I had the idea for Rilla, the idea for Rilla came because my first company, we had a field marketing management software for, like the booth kids from Red Bull that put on the uniforms of Wing Team and they go out and they talk to people. So our software was used to manage those kinds of events. And it clicked on me one day, one of our customers, Heineken, we realized that they had like 4 million face-to-face conversations every single month with their consumers.
Oh, wow.
And that was more interactions that they had with their consumers than they had from social media. In social media, they had like 500,000 points of engagement online. And through these field marketing interactions, they had like 4 million. So I said, if Heineken has 4 million conversations, how many conversations does Coca-Cola have? How many conversations does Pepsi have? What if we get out of CPG and food and beverage and we go outside? We pharma, medical, you go into the homes, home services, window siding, plumbing, doors, HVAC, electrician, like all these conversations. And I realized that there was 10 billion face-to-face conversations happening in offline commerce, face-to-face between people every single month. And that's 1/8 of the data that's transacted on Google, because there's 80 billion Google searches every month. So I said, what if we could go out there and we could make these conversations searchable, easy to understand, easy to analyze, so that we can help not only the frontline people, but the businesses, have better data for marketing, for product, for sales, for their entire operation, so that basically all the companies in the world can operate like Amazon and understanding their customers. So that was the idea for Rilla. When I had the idea, I said to my co-founders, I say like, hey, listen, man, I'm taking my money and I'm running with this. And he's like, listen, screw you, man. I'm coming with you, man. I'm doing that too. And that was at the middle of 2019 when we had the idea. And just like any good joke, it starts as a bad joke. And it was a lot of trials and tribulations and misery and suffering. And my mom telling me to go get a job.
And what a great journey from like, comedian to, and that's how you got like a lot of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Because you were grinding and you were getting a lot of ideas, and that's how you founded this. You translated to like, this.
Yeah. It was the idea generation and the failure part of like just being willing to just take it and in the chin, just like run with it and be addicted to the failure.
See like what they do, they write down everyday situations and then make it funny, because they just are the most relatable situations to the most people, because that's why people laugh, right? So they're like analyzing the most common situations,
and you have to come up with like every single day new idea. You cannot just like use like same content, same jokes, same way.
All the other comedians.
So it's really so especially the way I was doing it, I was like super addicted. So I was trying to come up with a new 3-minute set every single week. And if you're trying to come up with a new 3-minute set every single week, you have to be trying out new material every single time. So and the idea is not only that you're trying to write down ideas and generate ideas, and you're like really like
testing,
and you're every crowd that you test with, it's like you're getting a data point, you're getting a data point, you're getting a data point, and if it looks good, and then you're listening to like the laughter, you're like, okay, let me put the setup here, let me put the punchline there, let me tweak it a little bit with my tone, whatever it is, and then for the weekend you try to have like that 3-minute set that's popping.
It just made me realize, what people do? So they come up with a set, they do it at different clubs, it bombs. They blame the club and the people, and they keep doing the same set.
That's a comedian that has seen the data, and they're like, "You guys are bad data.
Bad data. Bad data.
You're objectively wrong. You guys suck, actually." Yeah.
The biggest question that I get about this, like AI and recording in the home, is it legal? How is it legal?
Yes, it is legal. Yeah,
it is.
We're not going to print.
But I just want to like bring one point. Like, about Google, Google Home,
Yes.
and your iPhone, Siri, right? All these phones are listening to our data. And, if you can go out and just like turn that off.
Yeah.
But these phone devices are already listening, and we see those ads. If you just talk about, let's say, any merchant company on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Their phone is listening, and I see those ads there.
Well, that's actually, they're not listening to your conversations. Actually, what they're doing is something even more creepy than that. People think that it's just listening to your conversations. What's happening is people think like Google's listening to my conversations, so they're showing me ads. What's the creepiest thing about it is that they're not doing that. They're doing something creepier, which is they don't have to listen to you because they're actually predicting what you're gonna think. So they already know what you're thinking.
There you go.
So, because what they're doing is essentially they're using geolocation, right? So like I'm sitting down with you and with you. And so they know that we were just together for an X amount of time. They're tracking your location. And then, or they could have predicted that I was going to come here by looking at my airline tickets or whatever it is. And so maybe if they know that you like something, let's say that you want to go surfing at the beach and you were looking at surfing stuff, they might have shown me some surfing stuff because they knew I was going to talk to you today or someone like that. Because they're not only like trying to show you things based on what you're saying. People think it's like, oh, I'm saying something, so Google's showing. It's like, no. They're actually making you say that. Like they're already so wired.
Wow.
Yeah. So they already know how, like it's even more, it's like 20 steps or something like that ahead of you. Because they already know what you're going to think later. And they're trying to influence what you're going to think to influence what you're going to say later. So
that control of that system, right? Like they already do that to us, right? For consumerism purposes and all of those, and control government, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like us taking the power back and saying, okay, let's educate ourselves and use this technology, not so that we're slaves to it, but that we're smarter because of it.
Yeah, so that's the original vision for Rilla, and it's still the same vision, is that we're gonna make offline commerce as searchable and easy to understand as Google did for the web, and that really is our vision. And because if you think about companies like Google and Amazon, like Amazon is like one of the most customer obsessed companies in the world, probably the most customer obsessed company, because everything they build from the customer backwards, because they have so much data to understand what their customers want, what the customers need, right? Because they're not only tracking purchases, right? They're not only tracking sales, they're tracking everything that comes before the sale. Where did this person click on this? How long did they spend on the shopping cart? Did they abandon the shopping cart? What else would we want to recommend them that they like? Because they have all this data about their customers. So they're building everything backwards from the customer. But then you look at Amazon and e-commerce is only like 15% of the economy. It's 15% of GDP. Right. Most companies in the world, like Lennox and like, the contractors that we work with and Coca-Cola, like this is the same problem that they have, that the entire top line revenue from their business comes from a conversation that they don't even have access to. It's like a black box. You send the technician out there and you have no idea what actually happened there.
They really have no idea.
And that's unless you go and do a ride along, and ride alongs are like really time consuming, really manual.
Same thing as what they're doing when they're alone.
Exactly. So you're not getting a representative sample. So for the most part, most of the businesses in America and around the world are operating in the dark as to what it is that they can do to actually make their customer experience better, make their products better, make their marketing better, sales better. And we're just giving them the access to that customer data, just like Google, just like Amazon, because they're way farther ahead in that area. Right. We're just trying to bridge the gap. Right.
From a technician's perspective, because I can see 10 steps ahead of the technician and the way they think, because I was, right. Yeah. So like,
you were a technician.
I was a HVAC salesperson. So
you were a comfort advisor.
Yeah, I was a comfort advisor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the field. So that's why I have so many field questions of, if I had this in the field and I dispense this technology to my guys, what would I hear from them?
Yeah.
That can't be legal.
Yeah.
Is that the ethics, right?
Yes.
Technicians have this it's a beautiful thing about them, but they're so connected to such a strong moral code.
Yes.
Which is good, but sometimes it closes their mind to new technology and new ideas. This is trades owners too.
Yeah.
I've noticed that they're like, well, freedom, we don't want to participate in what other people are doing.
Right.
What are the ethics behind this?
Yeah.
Can you talk about your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I can talk about the tech experience and the comfort advisor experience. So very transparently, every time we launch Rilla, and we've launched Rilla with thousands of technicians, comfort advisors at this point, every single time we see a version of the exact same thing. What happens is the top 20% of techs and comfort advisors people who've been there for longer, they absolutely hate this. They say this is a violation of the Geneva Conventions. I will not sign up. AI is evil.
Yeah, that's what we hear all the time.
And so top 20% say that. The people in the middle, they're kind of scared. They're slightly concerned, scared, kind of fearful, but they're not just as adamant as like, I hate this, like I'm not going to use this. And then it's usually the people at the bottom who are struggling with their numbers, with their sales, with their average tickets, conversion rates, whatever it is. And the new people who are training, those people adopt this like quicker than anybody, because if you're at the bottom, you have nowhere else. You're like, please don't. You're
going to unlearn.
Right. So like, you're like, yes, please, anything that can help me. I mean, some of our contractors, on average, we see that our contractors improve their conversion rates or average ticket sizes by 20 to 40% after a few months. So when you say that, I'm like, oh, please, I help me improve. And the tool is designed and I can understand from a top performer's point of view why they hate it so much, because the tool is literally designed to figure out what it is that they're doing differently than everybody else.
Oh, so it's not just for the, like, bottom people. It's just for like, it's for everyone.
It's for everybody.
For the top performance as well.
Yes, because I mentioned at the beginning, Rilla gives you feedback. How does Rilla give you feedback? How does it know what's good and bad? It knows what's good and bad because it looks at the top performers of your team, the people who are bringing millions of dollars of revenue. It would look at your conversations and see what it is that you're saying. Shreya is looking at how you're saying it, right? How much you pause, how much you talk, and then it recommends that exact same thing to everybody else in the team.
Wow.
So I can totally see why the top performers don't like that, because they're like, when you're competing for leads with your own team, now we have a lot of contractors that have a lead system where you give the best leads to the best performers, right? Makes sense. They're like, why the hell would I want to share my secrets with what
everybody?
Happens. You know what I mean? That's my secret sauce.
Yeah, they don't want to share. Like, that's what happens. They want to just keep it.
What's my answer to that is very simple. So what we typically see is that top performers, once they use it. So here's what typically happens. We launch Rilla, the bottom performers get on it much faster than everybody else. Everybody gets on it, but top performers hate it. People in the middle, they're scared. It usually takes about 5 recordings to lose the fear of recording. It's kind of like this effect in psychology. It's called the Hawthorne effect. When you're being recorded, your senses are really heightened for like a few hours. Yeah. And you're exactly like, when you start, you're like really nervous or whatever it is. And then your brain literally gets tired of being nervous. So then you're just like, hey man, we're not dead. So whatever, just keep doing what you're doing. Like your fight or flight deactivates. And so after 5 recordings at the beginning, you're like,
so those recordings are there, like who's going to play? Like, is someone going to play like those recordings in front of them to listen, or no?
Is there a person involved?
Is there any person involved?
Training, or is it?
Oh, so like, so you're saying is the sales manager going to be able to like,
sales manager?
So Rilla is used for virtual ride-alongs as well. So service managers and sales managers absolutely can go in there and coach their reps, and so they're afraid of that too, and they're afraid of the AI. They're really afraid of this tool when you start. We usually see that it's almost like exposure therapy when you like have a phobia of something. It's like the therapist like shows you the thing, and then you're like
about a snake.
Yeah. And so what we see is that exposure therapy, it lasts like 5 recordings. People lose the fear completely. And then some of the top performers end up being some of the power users, because those are the people that are naturally super like invested in their own growth and super invested in it's like Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan, what was, the top, game film consumer, just like Kobe Bryant, right? And they would be looking at each other and they would be learning the best practices from each other, right? And then, like just like LeBron does with Steph Curry, he's looking at it, like he literally had to remodel his game after Steph Curry. He had to learn how to throw the 3-point shots because, so it's like the best performers, they're really afraid of this because they feel like, like it's going to steal their secrets and share it, which is kind of what it's doing.
Performers are already recording themselves.
Yeah. So
I've always recorded myself. I've been taught like you record yourself talking and you listen.
Listen.
Pain and embarrassment. And
Yeah. And that's how you get better, because you have to be reviewing the game film. And so what we see is that the fear lasts for about 5 recordings. After the first month that you see that insane like lift in conversion rates, so like 20%, 40%. And the people at the bottom got so good. We compare it to if you guys have seen the movie Moneyball, Have you guys seen the movie Moneyball? It's exactly Moneyball, right? When the concept started in the movie, it tells the story. Have you seen Moneyball?
No.
Okay, so let me just for
We gotta watch it.
Okay.
For people who haven't seen Moneyball, it tells the story of this guy, Billy Beane, was the manager of the Oakland A's team of baseball back in 2001. It's a movie with Brad Pitt. It's a great movie. If you guys want to understand what this concept of Rilla is, just watch that movie. And not even Rilla, but AI and what it's going to do to sales and marketing and everything. And the movie tells the story of this guy, the Oakland A's. I'm sorry if you're from Oakland. The Oakland A's used to suck. No, so they used to suck, but then this guy was like, listen, I don't want to lose. And we keep losing because the Yankees and the Red Sox, they have 10 times our budget and they keep hiring the best players and we can't compete because we don't have the budget to hire the best talent. So he said, we're not going to play the game of baseball as a game of talent. We're going to play baseball as a game of numbers, right? And what he did is he hired a team of statisticians, data scientists who this was back in 2000, like nobody even knew what AI was. It was just statistics, right? And he hired a bunch of nerds from Yale, like all these like university people from like
top B schools.
He just hired a bunch of like these statistician nerds. It's like, we're going to look at the game of baseball. And then and they did that and they started looking at the data, like all the numbers in baseball, like how much you get on base, how much you hit the ball, what's the speed of the pitches, like what's the positioning in the field that you need to be in to optimize your chances of catching the ball. If there's they started looking at everything in terms of data, and they started finding weird patterns in the data. Like they realized that in order to maximize your chances of winning baseball games, you have to get on base more because you usually get roughly the same hits at the bat. But if you can maximize your on base percentage, then you're maximizing your chances of scoring more and winning more games. And so what they did was like, okay, what's the best way to get on base? Most teams would coach their players on how to hit the ball and they would practice hitting and they would practice hitting. The Oakland A's would spend most of their time trying to get hit by the ball, but lean with your face and lean with the shoulder, because if you get hit on baseball, you could get to walk to first base, right? So they started saying like, get on base, get hit by the ball. And then they would start doing these weird things. They noticed that fouling was easier than hitting the ball because you have to be less accurate. So they would train them to foul more so that the pitchers get tired over time, over the game. So the pitches get less accurate. And the games were ugly and annoying to watch. And everybody hated them. It was like, what is this guy doing? He's ruining this franchise. Just like Billy Beane guy, he's really got me on my nerves, man. We're not gonna bring nerds to our game.
But that's amazing. And I think we should talk about some data. I'm all about data.
Yeah.
So what fascinated data that you have seen that, okay, this was like 20% rate has gone to like what X number? Like what kind of like data sets that you have seen that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so we kind of did the same thing, Moneyball, for sales essentially, and we looked at exactly the same kind of data that Billy Beane was looking at back in the day. And some of the things that we saw, we actually analyzed like 500,000 sales conversations between comfort advisors and technicians and people in the home. And we found what it is that the top 1% of the country, what it is that they're doing differently than everybody else. This is people that are bringing in $3 million, $5 billion to their business every single year, right? And we looked at what is it that they're doing differently, right, than everybody else. The first thing that we found, we probably didn't need a supercomputer to figure this out, but we did. The top performers, and listen to this, and this is going to be your main takeaway of this. The top performers of the country, the number one thing that they're doing differently is that instead of talking more, they are just talking less. Just like our moms told us, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, you have to listen more. The top performers talk on average 45 to 65% of the time compared to the homeowner during the conversation. And the average reps, they talk 75 to 85% of the time. 100%. They're spending most of their time
talking. Listeners.
Right. So they're listening more. They're getting the homeowner to talk more, share more of their story, share more of their pain. So the homeowner feels at ease because it's a conversation. Most of the average rep, 85% of the time, you're not selling, you're not having a conversation, you're just doing an ad. You're like, but wait, there's more, Mrs. Homeowner.
Yes.
Our HVAC system.
Themselves and the company to how they're better than them and it's the other company, and oh my gosh.
Can this tool like maybe analyze the conversation about like emotional intelligence? So there is like, one guy going out there and connecting like, personally at emotional level with the customers, and the other one is not.
We do have a metric for that.
You have a metric for that?
Yeah. And so we don't call it emotional intelligence, call it open-ended questions, right?
Yes.
Open-ended questions is like the trick that the top performers use. It's not a trick. It's just like a very good conversational hack to get people to share more and learn more about them, right?
Yes or no
No.
questions.
Yes or no, open-ended questions. The average reps ask 5 open-ended questions for every hour of a conversation. The top performers ask 25 because the average rep, they'll go into home and be like, oh, what seems to be the problem? Open-ended questions. Oh, what brought us here today? How long have you been here? Yeah, but they only do that at the beginning, the average reps, when they're doing their surveys. The top performers, they'll be doing their demo, like showing the system, the energy efficiency, all those things. They'll notice that the homeowner, like, they'll get interested. It's like, oh, it seems like I just struck a chord here. What about that resonated with you?
What do you? Right.
Yeah, when dealing with when dealing with objections, it's like the price is too high. The average reps, they goes like, no, but you gotta understand, we've been in business since like 1776. George Washington founded this company.
I love this. Oh my God.
And those things, they're made in China, I'll tell you that.
Oh my God.
And they just like start talking. The top performers, total opposite. They go, what do you mean price is too high? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then the homeowner is like,
What does
and then they're like, well, we had a contractor come out last week and they gave us a third of the price. They quoted us $5,000 and you're quoting us $20,000 for a replacement. It's like, oh, interesting. You told me a little bit more about that contractor. How did you get to know them?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's your cousin's wife's cousin. Got it.
Right.
They came in here and they're part of they just started in the trace. Got it.
Why they're not out here?
Yeah. I'm just curious. What made you not go? Why did you call it? What made you call it?
So, all of it, it's like that. The base, just in a million different ways.
And that's when they start asking a lot of open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Even when they're dealing with objections,
Right.
they just don't ask open-ended questions at the beginning and then it's done. They keep that conversation going and they keep asking open-ended questions throughout every single stage of the conversation. They get the homeowner to open up more. That gives them a little bit more time in the home. The top performers conversations are usually twice the length of the average reps because they spend a little bit more time getting to know the homeowner. And then at that moment, it's not that they're selling, is that they're trying to figure out what is the actual problem and what are the actual needs that the customer has. And then they just match whatever the service is to those needs,
Yeah,
right?
they're
So
diagnosing the
like
customer, not
a doctor asks you like a ton of questions before they give you the medicine, right?
Exactly.
And so, and homeowners feel much better with that.
Much
you know?
better.
It's not like you're spending 2 hours in the home and you're just like, and wait, there's more. System's powered by the sun.
Oh my God. Somebody with a technician came in my home and gave me a PowerPoint presentation on what a serial.
Oh my God.
Why did
you school for this now?
Right.
Then get out of my house.
It's like, oh, man, I just want you to fix my toilet.
Love them. If
Yeah.
I'm what?
Yeah. Goodbye. Yeah. So that's it. So that's a lot of data that we found. It's like talk ratio, open-ended questions. Top performers ask more open-ended questions 5 times more than the average performers. They spend a little bit more time in the home. And there's we're publishing more data as we go, but there's like a bunch of data that we found. And I just wanted to wrap up the Moneyball discussion because when Billy Beane adopted this model of using data, analyze baseball games and understand how you can maximize your chances of winning, they started doing all these weird things, right? They went from being the team in the bottom of the league, just like bottom of the league, to being the top of the league for the first time in like 50 years, I guess. And they beat teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox. And they went on to win the longest consecutive winning streak in baseball history with a team of no-name players. There was like a guy with a limp arm. There was a guy who was a drug addict in the team. They had like no-name players. They went on to beat the best teams of all time.
This is the best analogy I've ever heard.
It's using data, using data.
Using
you know
data.
what I mean?
So it's like people want to hire top talent that are already superstars.
Yes.
That's the worst thing you could do because they're going to shop hop. They're going to go all over the place. They could be a cancer to the culture. It's like you can train somebody to be a superstar.
Superstar,
You
exactly.
can make average players bionic
with the same data sets and conversations.
Yeah, that's it's the idea for Rilla, and this is why the fear, people get over the fear eventually. Because it's just like, if you watch the movie Moneyball, there's a lot of fear about using this data. The players are not, like, they're like, what do you mean I gotta get hit by this ball now? And so, but it takes about a couple of weeks to get the hang of it, and then in the first month they start seeing these results where you're like, think about it, it's like 40% improvement in your sales. It's like, that's 40% improvement for the bottom line, for the business, for the top line, 40% more cash in your pocket. It really raises the bar for everybody, right? Because we're going from a situation where there's no game film at all. We're bringing game film, and we're bringing Moneyball, and we're bringing your coach being able to give you feedback every single time, just like any other sport. It raises the bar for everybody. And we see this time and time and again. And that's our mission, right? It's to make people in the trades bionic. There's a lot of AI out there that's gonna replace human beings. We can talk about that, but there's a lot of AI that's coming that's gonna replace. But this one, and this is part of a trend of the other side of AI, which is it's going to enhance the natural capabilities of human beings to make them much better at what they do. And so that's our goal here.
But I think a lot of people are like scared, especially like in home service industry, that like, oh, AI can, take their jobs. Like, I don't think so. Robots can like, change the filters or like do the work on HVAC. I don't think so.
Yeah. So that's what Gary V, we had Gary V at an event the other day.
I love
Trey
Gary
was
V.
there, and he was just like, listen. If you're about robot plumbers, you're being neglectful about your
Yeah, we might all die because of robots in 500 years.
Like, look, man, that's like way too far to go. It's like, go on TikTok, man. Okay, just go on TikTok.
They also said, don't be like how you were when we went from BlackBerry to iPhone. It's the same thing. You're thinking of it as something completely different than BlackBerry to iPhone, but it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the internet. People were scared. What is this internet thing?
And
same. And it's like, okay, at least this time, let's get ahead of it, use it to my advantage.
Yeah.
Like I wish I did.
Yeah.
Well, don't you wish you had
exactly.
Yeah.
And then everyone adapted to like internet. Okay, like it took years, right? Like 90s, and then I think it took 5-7 years. And I think the same thing is happening with AI.
Yeah.
People are not used to of it right now. I think they're scared. But I think, what do you think in 10 years where we look at like people's mindset?
So this is an important topic, especially for home service contractors. If you're in the trades, this technology disruption is going to be like, it's going to be unlike any other ones that have happened before. It's going to be unlike the internet. It's going to be unlike the iPhone. It's going to be unlike all the other tech improvements that we saw in history. And the reason is that this is the first technology that you guys, people in the trades, you guys are actually going to have to be the early adopters of this technology. And the reason for this is actually a lot of macroeconomic things that are happening. If you're in the trades, you already know of the private equity movement that's happening. All the big companies are getting acquired. If you're the dominant player in your market, you're getting offers to get acquired, right? The reason for that is there's a lot of macro things that are happening in the economy that are leading to this, right? And it's leading to this thing that I'm going to tell you, which is AI's coming, and it's here already, and it's coming after the trades first, right? This is why I exist, right? The reason is, for the longest time, for 15 years, we've been living in a low interest rate environment, right? Low interest rate environment means that VCs, the venture capitalists who fund tech companies like mine, like Airbnb and Facebook and Amazon, it was very easy for them to fund tech companies that sold products to other tech companies in Silicon Valley and New York, right? And so and it was a very easy pitch because they fund the same companies fund their, sell products to their existing companies. It was a very easy thing to do because interest rates are low, and it's a great environment to fund tech companies when interest rates are low, right? And so what happened was, recently interest rates went up. The tech valuations, you see all the public tech companies, their valuations got slashed. Massive tech layoffs in California. From California, you're seeing all the massive tech layoffs. It's not a good time to be in tech. So like, I know that a lot of industries are suffering and the trades are coming off the COVID high, but no other industry is suffering as massively as tech is. It's a really hard time to be in tech. It's almost like the dot-com bust when all the companies tanked. It's happening again, right, in tech. And so what's happening is, it's happening at the exact same time that AI got introduced. It's like this mass, GPT chat came out in September October last year. It's happening at the same time. So what's happening is venture capitalists, they have, just like private equity people, they have the most amount of cash in the bank that they've ever had in history, but they have very few companies to fund for the traditional industries like technology, because there's nobody buying anything in technology right now. It's layoffs, right? So they're looking for industries outside of tech, and ding, ding, ding. What are they looking at? First, home services, right? COVID happened. The biggest migration of people living in cities went into the suburbs since the 1950s, and people are spending more time at home, which means that you can have more appointments. The appliances are breaking more often. The wear and tear of the HVAC systems, they're using it more because there's
home services demand is going up.
Most people are spending the most amount of time at home than ever in history, right? So when these VCs and these venture capitals look at this gold mine that's happening in people's homes, right? That the American home has become the biggest sales and marketing channel ever, right now. And they're looking at all these, and they're like, we want to throw money at it. They're looking at companies like Rilla. They're looking at companies like Buck AI. They're looking at companies like Avoca.ai that are specifically targeting the trades with AI, right? To fund those companies. So the first real world applications at the application layer of AI, not at the model level of ChatGPT, but the application layer, it's actually coming for the trades. So you guys unfortunately don't have the advantage of being able to sit around and wait till the techies figure out all the kinks. You guys are literally at the curve is flipped. You guys are the early adopters now, because if you're not, your competitors are going to adopt it first. Right. And the massive advantage is that you 40% lift for months. It's like the macro conditions are kind of forcing the trades to be the early adopters. Yeah. And it's coming after, and it's here, right? The company that I mentioned, Avoca.ai, they literally have an AI agent to replace the call center. Like you call in, and it's like literally just an AI.
I already got like calls like that.
Yeah.
And there is a background noise going on. It looks like, it's a real call center.
Yeah.
And it asking questions, and there is a pause. There's a pause. I figured it out. Yeah. But they are becoming smart and smart.
The technology, everything was like deep fakes. We already had deep fakes for voice. So like you can generate anybody's voice from just taking a little sample of their voice. The missing piece was being able to respond to the agent. And we have text to speech that can turn, text into speech, right? And we have speech to text that can turn speech into text really accurately. The missing link was like being able to get the computer to respond like a human being. And that's what we got with ChatGPT. So the call center technology to replace it, it's already there. It's not already there, but the people that are building the products that are going to bring this to market are coming after the trades first.
The speed of, oh my gosh, the speed of AI, because then AI is building on AI and building on AI, right?
It's getting much faster.
Yeah.
It's unlike the other technology disruptions in history, because when the iPhone came out, you guys remember, it was like, the first year the iPhone came out, you guys remember, like the first iPhone was like, you could call, you could, the calculator, you could have like your contacts. You could go to the internet, like, wow, you can browse the internet, like that was it. And then it was like the camera came out, like to be able to upload pictures, like Instagram came out in like 2012. It was like 2-3 years before the App Store came out, and when the camera came out, and when all these gadgets that we know the iPhone for came out later, right? It wasn't like 3 years until the App Store, right?
Right.
And it was like 3 years. That's how we measure tech progress. It was like in years, right? This thing came out, and then incremental improvements over years. GPT chat came out in it was October, November last year. And GPT-4, which is the new iteration of GPT chat, which is much smarter and is able to do more complex, problem solving. It came out months later. And after GPT-4 came out, people started coming out with agents that could like book your trips for you and be your virtual assistants. And
everyone was creating from ChatGPT.
Exactly.
Right. Prompt engineering.
So the progress is happening. We're not measuring progress in years. We're measuring progress in weeks. Weeks.
Seriously.
And it's because engineers themselves, like my engineers have become 10 times faster at coding also because they're using ChatGPT to code. So the technology is just moving at a rate that we have not. So that's why people are uncomfortable, because it's moving so fast.
Right. Sebastian, so one question leads, like, from here, you talked about the invention, like it's coming in weeks when it comes to AI. I'm sure you are not stopping right here with Rilla. Yeah. I'm sure you are coming up and you are inventing something new in Rilla
all the time.
You wanna share more about it, what's coming?
So that's great question. So let me see, what can I share that's not in the lab? Dude. So I can share this one. So right now, Rilla, how it works for the tech experience is you go in, you do your recording, you talk to the customer, you do your thing just as usual, and then you stop, it uploads, it processes. 5 minutes later, when you're in your car, it tells you a notification, hey, your conversation's ready, and you go and see your report and see the feedback that the AI gave you after the fact, right? What we're doing now is we're creating real time, right? Speech analytics, so that if you want to check how you're doing in the middle of the conversation, you can go in and check like, oh, wow, like how,
You can fix it while
yeah, like you can see your talk ratio, you can see like happening in real time. That's one thing that we're working on. Let me see, what else can I share? We are building some really, really interesting things with GPT-4. I can say that.
GPT-4?
Yeah. We're building a lot of cool things with the new model for ChatGPT.
That's huge.
Yeah. It's really interesting, but that's as much as I can share.
Love that. That's gonna be game changing.
Yeah.
ball today.
Yeah.
Even I have to.
Yeah. Brad Pitt, man. I'm Team Pitt, man. I've always tried to look like Brad Pitt did in Fight Club, like every guy my age. It's just like when he was like ripped, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, you look like Brad.
No, I do not look like Brad. So you know, like when in the DR they make fun, they would call me gringo, like, oh, you look like Brad Pitt. I'm like, this is how our Brad Pitt looks like, man. This our damn, dude, we're not doing good as a nation.
The compliment.
I be like, damn, dude, I'm disappointed in us, man, as a people. But yes.
But good stuff overall.
Demo the product, obviously, to ask their own questions, see how it works, see the platform. Where should they go for that? We're obviously going to link below for you.
Yeah, so go to RillaVoice.com. That's RILLA voice.com, and click on the book a demo link and put your details there, and you're going to get in touch with one of our highly trained sales consultants who have been using the latest in AI technology.
On Rilla, using the technology.
And I'm going in there every day and coaching those guys. Before I go to sleep, I just like, instead of like swiping on social media, I go, it was like, what?
And for the audience, if you want to book a comedian, it's right here.
If Rilla fails, I could do birthday parties, I could do bar mitzvahs, I could do whatever you guys need. Okay, just like hit me up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you find it.
Oh my God.
In advance.
That's my backup plan. Absolutely.
I mean, this conversation was.
This is fun.
I think it was fun.
Excited about hearing this because this is the most asked about subject right now. It's the hottest topic and it's the most misunderstood topic. And I feel like you brought a lot of clarity and communicated it in a way that us tradespeople can understand. So I appreciate
really appreciate it. And thank you for bringing like insights about data. And people are really, like Shreya mentioned, that they are very scared about AI.
They should be.
And they should be. But I think it's changing in the maybe next 5 years or 10 years. I don't see 5, maybe 10. Like people mind shift. I think it's gonna take time. But thank you for sharing all that information, and I wish you all the best for Rilla and for your comedy.
Thank you guys.
comedy.
No, this was fun, guys. Thank you for having me on. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Everything below, so click below, book a demo with Rilla to check this, crazy, scary AI stuff out, see how it could benefit your home service company.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, watching, and see you on the next one. Bye. Take care. Bye.